Hello, Reality Sandwich. Welcome back for another Share Your Experience episode. I'm Holly, one of the conscious agents here with Reality Sandwich, and I am joined by Brian, aka Dr. Passion, today, who's joining me from Southern California. And we are going to get into a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I don't even want to guess where it's going to go yet because it has not yet materialized. We're going to let it flow as it will. So, thanks for being here, Brian. Let's talk psychedelics. Um,
Awesome.
tell
Let's
us a
get
little about
ready.
yourself first before we kick off. Who are you? Where are you? What do you do?
Well, my name's Brian or Dr. Passion. I'm in Encinitas, California, just north of San Diego, but I grew up in Arizona-ish, born there until I was a little one. And then my dad joined the military. I lived all over the world, all over the US, Europe, Hawaii. And then kind of like knew I wanted to be a doctor when I was like 3 or 4, but kind of only had the words at the time to think, oh, I want to be an anesthesiologist who worked with people in altered states. So at that time, I know, right? As a 3-year-old,
Yeah.
it was very clear in my 3-year-old language that that's what I wanted to do. But I mean, it's kind of interesting because I think when we're children, we think in, oh, at least for myself, I thought in images. And so I use the language of like being the son of a military officer and speaking English that, oh, that must mean I'm supposed to be a doctor. So I followed that path and man, it's been an experience. And just like all of our beautiful paths, it's perfect to bring us right here, right now. So, it's been a journey because doing that and then really being driven to be a doctor from that vision, just to get into the psychedelics right away if we want to. Um,
Yeah.
I went to the University of Arizona because I was in Arizona.
Mhm.
And, I was a little freshman kid who was super conservative and in the closet and a fraternity guy and really kind of lost. And I was looking for ways to remember myself. And I was just kind of, I tried the alcohol, I tried the fraternity stuff, I tried all that stuff, and it wasn't fulfilling. And so, literally, right before midterms or right before Christmas break, I remember my friend was like, oh, I finally got some acid for us. So, by the way, public announcement, do not do acid before your first finals in college. Don't do
Sound
it,
advice. Sound
right?
advice.
Because up until that point, I could see how the numbers and the science and the chemicals went together because I was a microbiology biochemistry major. And, I had a beautiful experience with psychedelics, but I didn't quite have the integration and support that I needed, nor the mentorship to be like, don't take it at this time. Probably not wise. So I went to my finals and literally I could not see how the numbers for calculus went together. I couldn't see how the chemical equations for chemistry came together. And I really kind of bombed it. And actually, I got kicked out of the University of Arizona from that experience. And at the time, just like any experience in our life, in my humble opinion, when we're in it, we're like, oh shit, this is the end of my world, the end of my life, the end of my dreams. But usually it's the universe being like, okay, brother, okay, sister, let me bring you back to yourself while you're really here. Not why you think you're here, but why you're really here. So, I left the University of Arizona. My parents like cut me off from paying for my school and stuff, which was a blessing, although seemed challenging at the time. I had 3 jobs and I went to Glendale Community College for a while and I just rocked it and just did a bunch of jobs, did what I needed to do, and then actually went to a school up north in Northern Arizona University where I would not have to take Spanish to graduate. That was my goal because I was like, I'd taken at the University of Arizona. I had enough trauma of failing. Okay. Like that trauma was real. Um, and in hindsight, I'm grateful for it. But actually, for like the next 20, 30 years, I was a little bitter. Um, so,
Sure.
well, yeah, right. It's fair. So I went up to NAU and I graduated top of my class. I like, one of the top three at the school, did research, was going to be an MD, PhD for a long time. And I went to apply for medical school. And at the University of Arizona, place got kicked out, which is kind of funny. And I did not get in. my first try. I had a complete meltdown in the mailroom when I got my letter. And just like always happens in the universe, right? One bad thing happens followed by a great thing. I had some friends being like, brother, why don't you come stay with us in Sedona for the summer? We can, learn Spanish together and then maybe you can do some more stuff. So I went down, taught myself the first 2 years of Spanish in Sedona, and then did an immersion program and then worked with the Red Cross in Mexico City and almost got another degree in Spanish and political science in Mexico. And then got into medical school and started that path again. So it's really kind of been like this up and down fight between the ego and the personality and like my life mission and like why I'm here and who I am. And so I went there, did that. It was great. It's been a process. Um, Went into medicine, did all that fun stuff. Went to I did my residency in San Francisco, and then my father died, which really just kind of threw things in all the fun ways. I didn't have the coping skills at the time, and it was super challenging for me. Um, and then I was kind of going through this whole finding myself phase again. Um, I became a hospital doctor, a ICU doctor, and really kind of tried to find all the different ways I could be of service and help. And it was just perfect for me getting to know the body, the soul, the way people interacted, the way they responded, how they healed. Um, so I did, let's see, ICU medicine, hospital medicine, pain management, integrative pain management, um, addiction medicine, palliative care, hospice, all the different things to try to just bring different aspects of light to what I was doing. And I was still miserable. Go figure. Um, I was trying to find happiness in a system where happiness was not the number one priority, right?
Mhm.
And I felt really squeezed by pharmaceutical companies and insurance companies. And it's not that, like, and let me just preface it with this. Anyone dedicating their life to any sort of service, including doctors and nurses and such, they mean well. They really do mean well. They don't necessarily have the prudence yet to know what is being taught to them of truth and what is being taught to them as like manipulation or end stage capitalism, right? So, I had been really sold down. I'm like, this is the way you work with the body, with pharmaceuticals, with this. And then the more I did work with just different groups and specifically with indigenous elders, um, let me go back to working. I was working up in San Francisco or Santa Cruz, and I had some residents come to me and they're like, "Doctor, we would like you to go down to the jungle with us." They're like, "We can promise you Machu Picchu, we can promise you volunteer work, and we can promise you a psychedelic." And they kind of said ayahuasca, but they said psychedelic, and that's all I really heard. And it was
Mhm.
before the time that ayahuasca was super popular, and I'd only heard it once, so I did not know how to look it up on Google or anything. And so my first experience was rough as fuck. Like it literally what I would tell everyone not to do with their life. Okay. So, I mean, that's really one of the reasons I became an integration coach and really help people through this process. And not just for psychedelics, but I'm a death doula too. I'm a rebirth doula. I help people remember that every breath, every heartbeat, every step is a chance to change our perspective and change our reality. And yeah, psychedelics help, plant medicines help. They're tremendous in moving energy. And also just a little bit of guidance from just community, right? Hey, brother, watch out for that pothole. Oh, there's a speed bump there. That's going to rock your fucking world. Those things really helpful to hear and know. So I went into ceremony
So wait
thinking
one
that,
second.
oh, yeah, sorry,
Before you get there,
yeah,
your only other psychedelic experience at this point is the LSD before the finals. Like you've not
completely.
really.
Yeah. Like,
Okay.
yeah. So there was a
Just to be clear.
big break there. Okay. Big break.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't call marijuana a psychedelic.
Yeah. Not
Yeah,
quite
I was,
not the same category.
yeah,
Yeah.
not at all. And I was pretty, it's hard to imagine that version of me, like a million versions ago, it seems. Like, how many lifetimes ago was that? So, yeah,
Yeah.
once in
Okay.
college. And
And
then
now here we
later,
are, getting ready for your
right,
first ceremony. Okay.
getting ready for the first, yeah, in hindsight, it does seem like a long time, but like, what is time? Like, I know that sounds really weird, but like, what is time? So, so yeah, getting ready for ceremony. They're like, you might throw up a little bit, you might have some diarrhea. I was not ready for what I experienced. If I was guiding me, I would have been like, brother, surrender, 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 surrender. You are going to purge you from all your holes. You're going to cry. You're going to throw up. You're going to have snot. You're going to pee. You're going to poop. Everything, and sometimes all at once. Yay!
Yeah.
So and the diet beforehand, I didn't know that there was a diet, and I didn't know that I would be
Mm,
transmuting everything in my body. So if I had a cow, if I had any energy that wasn't aligned and in peace, that would be my job during ceremony to cleanse it. And wow, was that not as much fun as I thought it would be. So the first day I'm in it, and it really faced me with everything I never wanted to face before I died. Like every last thing. Like if I could hide from it, I would have, but it was right in my face. And on top of that, I had this urge to throw up and poop, but I was too self conscious. I was still in that
yeah.
place of wanting to control, like that very yang control. I wasn't yet in the balance of like letting go and surrendering. So I held on for quite a
It's
while, few hours.
no vanity in ceremony. You can't, can't
Well,
exist there. You can try.
right. You can try, but we all know surrender is the way. And
Yeah.
so then, it finally got to the point where I was like, God, if this is the end, take me the fuck out. Like, just kill me and my existence, please. I can't do it anymore. And that's when just like, I think that surrender, that breakthrough, that telepathic verbal acknowledgement, like literally everything melted. Like I went to the bathroom, I purged incessantly. And once that energy started to move, and I didn't realize how blocked that energy had been for so many years. And once it started to move, like all of the discomfort went away. All of those things went away in my face. And literally, the medicine started to show me, Brian, if you continue, like I was actually utilizing pharmaceutical medications to self soothe from a broken system. And I'm actually writing a book right now, finishing it, from the ICU to ICU. And
That's great.
and really about the idea that anyone who is not self-soothing in this system is probably just has a lot of cognitive dissonance. Like if you are not, I mean, any doctor I know that's in the system has multiple ways of self-soothing from a broken system. So that was a rough one to swallow. And then it showed me this is what happens if you continue once a day, once a week, once a month. And like literally, like almost like a peacock came out and showed me every timeline. And not only every timeline of how it affected me, but how it affected my family, how it affected my partner, how it affected my dogs and my aunts and my uncles. And I think once I saw how my self soothing was not only hurting me, but it was echoing out, it just made sense that that was no longer of service to me and I could let it go. Um, mentally,
Yeah.
right? Mentally, at
Yeah.
least.
I understand that.
Right.
Time to
So
go back to the
then,
real world.
right, well, the real world was running a free clinic in the Amazon. So we finished that. I mean, and after actually even that, I went up to this like galactic unity place where there were these planets with huge statues, and it was just so beautiful. And it was so just amazing and centering. Basically ayahuasca said, this is where you're from, and this is where your family's from. And it just was so utterly beautiful and completing that I was like, oh, I can sit in this for a while. So I sat in that, woke up the next day. I had to run the clinic that next day. And I was like, I need to call in sick. Okay. The world is moving beneath my feet. I don't think this is the time to really focus on taking care of myself for a minute. Um, so I sat there and everyone else went to the clinic. And when I was there, I still had that little voice. Well, maybe you could self soothe with this just to whatever. And I looked in the direction of the place that I took the substances that were no longer healthy for me. And I felt the same way that I did when I was like, God, if this is the end, take me out. And so I was like, oh man, this medicine is smart. And not only is it smart and gracious, but it just is, it's the gift that keeps giving. So, I couldn't have done that again, even if I wanted to, okay? Because I would have been purging and throwing up and having a whole nother experience between where I was standing and where the stuff was. So, did that. And I just thought that was all really beautiful and neat. And I thought that, I'm like, okay, that's my experience and that's beautiful and that's awesome. And then about 2 months into it, one of the residents comes to me and she's like, Doctor, she's like, I don't feel like I'm learning enough. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, we're in the jungle. There's no hot water. There's no electricity. We're going around in dust. I'm like, what would help this experience be more complete for you? Like, what do we need to do to help you? She's like, I want to do a house visit. I'm like, let's do it. We have a day left. Let's go visit. So we went to this woman's house, mid 60s, and they'd kind of been we'd heard about her in the past, but I didn't know how severe it was because in the chain of telephone, sometimes things get lost. And that's usually just so everyone knows if your loved one, your family member is not getting what they need, just keep calling other people and more people and get to the people who make decisions because it's usually just a translation issue of someone not realizing how important it is for you to be attended to. So just, go above the next person, go above the next person. And I'm just saying that as an advocate. Okay, guys, just really that's important. But to get back to this, so then we went to this place, and this woman had been not eating for about 2 weeks, had severe body pain everywhere, throwing up every 15 minutes, diarrhea every 15 minutes, um, and she was dying of uterine cancer. And I didn't realize it was that severe until we walked in the door. And you can just tell when you've done this enough times. And I could feel in my heart, I'm like, this woman has about 24, 48 hours to live. I'm like, okay. So I sit down with her and I'm in my personal purgatory on top of everything else. So the medicine just kept teaching. It was hotter than shit. I was sweating. There was an open cauldron fire. There were ducks that were loud. There were chickens that were loud. There were children that were screaming. And there were mosquitoes and flies everywhere. Okay. On top of that. So I'm there trying to have a conversation with the woman, obviously going through it. I'm healthy, but I am like watching the mosquitoes fill up so much they blow up on my arm. And I'm like, what are they giving you for pain, sister? And this is in Spanish, by the way, go figure, funny. That the thing that I had gone to the school to avoid taking, okay? I had gone to a university to avoid taking Spanish, and now I'm speaking in another language in the Amazon in the language. So, by the way, guys, if the universe asks you to do something, surrender, just do it. It will push you till you do it. Trust me. Trust me on that one. So, um, so we're there. And I'm like, what are they giving you for pain? And she's like, ibuprofen or Tylenol if they have it. And I almost threw up again. I know there's a lot of throw up in this conversation, but it's very fitting for the
It's human.
emotions. Yeah,
Human.
right. Completely. So I was like, and then it hit me like a ton of bricks. This is the reason I'm down in the jungle with an issue, with medicine, doing this. When you're at those major crossroads where all these timelines are coming together and it doesn't just tie it up, it ties it up with a pretty bow. You're like, thank God. Thank God someone is benefiting from my suffering, their suffering. Like it's this beautiful like place where all the energies can be soothed with grace. And so I made her a hospice kit with all the medicine I took down to have fun with. So I gave her pain medicine. I gave her anti-nausea medicine. I gave her medicine for anxiety. And I gave her hefty doses because I figured 24, 48 hours, let's make sure she can have some closure and
Yeah.
do that. So I went back, had the last ceremony of the experience in the jungle. And the whole night I was like, man, I think I killed her. I think she's probably dead. But at least she's at peace. Like just
Right.
that.
Yeah.
And,
She's
and
suffering.
and
Yeah.
and those are the decisions actually that being a doctor, like you literally have to face all the time. Like if you mess up, someone dies, and it's not just like a bee on a on a test. It's someone's life and their family's life and their family's life. So it really sat with me during the ceremony. And we're leaving the next day and we go to her place and she's not in her bed. The family's not looking at us. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have some humble pie this morning. At least I'll be full. Um, so we're there for a minute. And then she comes out of the outhouse and she is radiant. I mean, wow. Like she literally looked like an angel, like when I can picture her face. Like her eyes were bright. Her smile was huge. And she had peace in her. And they told us that she hadn't had body pain, she hadn't thrown up, she hadn't had diarrhea, she slept all night. That was the first time she had to go to the bathroom. And the reason the family was not looking at us was because they were making her favorite food. And actually, I still get goosebumps from this story. And luckily, I've told it enough times that I'm not crying and bawling, and I'm able to get the story out without crying. But when you experience that, and everyone who's experienced something like that, you get me. You can't unexperience that. When you experience being in the divine, and especially with all the emotion and energies associated with the process to get there, and the cries, the sleepless nights, I mean, for medical school, for all of it. And then her sleepless nights, I could only imagine. And where they come together and where two people can be vulnerable and honest and loving and just be of service. The ripples, I can't even put into words, and I still have the beautiful goosebumps. And that's why I do this work, because it might not happen today or in a week or another year or two or 20, but actually, it's happening more often. But when you experience that, the divine, you can't unexperience it. And and then or at least for myself, I knew I wanted to be of service in that way. Um, so it took me a while to find out. Like then I came back to the United States. I still was trying to find my balance. I was kind of in that really judgy mode that when people who come back from the jungle are in. We all know those people, you guys, or people who come back from Burning Man and they're like won't shut up
Yeah.
about Burning Man. Like all the fun, like when you're supercharged about something, right?
Yeah. Just
And
can't quite keep it in. Yeah.
right. And so you're going around life and you're like, oh, you should be grateful you have shoes and grateful you have, a road that's paved and have hot water and electricity. So I'm kind of over that now. I'm a lot more gentle. Thank God for everyone. Um, but so then years later, I'm a co-director of a nonprofit called Tribute Earth that works with about 27 different indigenous tribes from the Americas as well as Africa, and they hold the codes of the different elements, the different medicines. And we do international water conferences, a bunch of education. But it really inspired me to get in touch with the natural rhythms and cycles of Pachamama, of our earth. Because, when you get that love letter from Mother Earth, you can't like forget it. And you just want to be like, to put it in the terms of a doctor, like an activated white blood cell. Like you're going to go around and do everything you can to defend the body that is Mother Earth. And the more you do it, literally, the more tools you get and the more community you meet, like Reality Sandwich and Studio Delic and District 216 and all of these other things coming together to really help the movement of energy and hold space for each other. And, the coolest thing about this, because energy for me works in a toroidal regenerative way. Once we go through it, we get to help the next generation go through it more gently, and the next generation go through it more gently. I actually had a friend of mine transition yesterday in the morning. She was hospice,
Mm.
and she had a beautiful life. And her daughter is actually one of my esoteric teachers, and she helps people over the Rainbow Bridge every night. Okay, so you would think that she's pretty used to death, but she hadn't experienced the physical portion of that. She'd experienced the spiritual portion of helping people out of their body over, but not really witnessed someone going through the process of slowly getting weaker, not eating, and then transitioning. And so I'm just realizing that some of us have our expertise in the spiritual realm, some in the physical realm, some in other realms. and we're always learning from each other. And how beautiful is it that Reality Sandwich is here to help us share other aspects of the truth so that we don't have to go through the school of hard knocks, right? I mean, hopefully. I mean, if you choose to, all on you, and good
Yeah.
luck on that. So, yeah, so that's that. I mean, so that was a long, long answer for the question, and I will pass it back to you to guide it. I am so sorry for like just, bleh.
No, it's a beautiful story. And I mean, obviously, probably one of a massive pinpoint in your life. Clearly, that entire experience. Um, so what shifted after that? Like, what happened when you left the jungle? How did you continue working with plant medicines personally? Like, did you decide
Yeah.
I want to start sharing them with others? Like, what was the next thing that happened? How did it shift your career and personal life after that kind of pivotal moment in time?
That's a great question. Because I see what happens a lot is people get so excited that of their healing, they just want to help everyone. Um, and it taken me so many years to become a doctor, and I wanted to help people, but I wasn't sure if I was ready to hold space for that because I realized how powerful that was. And it took me a while to integrate the whole experience and kind of come into balance with myself. I was going through relationship issues. I was trying to find myself. It gave me a point of what I wanted to aim for, like an arrow, right? But I didn't quite know how to get there. And I think that's the reason I'm so interested in integration because there are very logical, loving steps we can do to integrate an experience like that. This was before that was widely available, and I kind of flailed, to be frank, for a couple years. Um, the kind of the effects of it wore off a little bit. I kind of had a little bit of temptation here and there. And then I sat again with medicine, but this time it was, go figure, I did. Have you heard of Landmark Forum? It's like a self development
Yes.
work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was a day I did Landmark Forum, and I also decided to go down to Rhythmia, another retreat center, to meet someone I really respected, Jordan. He does this thing called spirit science. And so I really wanted to do that. So when I did that, the day I decided to do that, I had a dream where I'm in this like celestial white room, and this little like guy comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, what's up?" I'm like, "Do I know who you are? Who are you?" He's like, "Oh, you don't remember who you are yet, do you?" I'm like, "I guess not." He's like, "Don't worry, soon enough you will." And I can remember it so vividly. And so I went and did the Landmark program, and I kind of realized how I was self sabotaging myself in certain ways. I was able to bring light to a lot of shadow, like my coping skills, this and that. And then I was really able to also communicate better with people. So I was able to integrate by being able to build bridges. So I was able to do apology letters to my mom and my ex and such, saying, "Listen, I can imagine what I did made you feel like this or like this or like this, and if not, please correct me. And I'm so sorry." And to then go about it in a new way. At the same time, going back and connecting with community, because I think community is like the superpower. It's really where I find myself and am reminded of the beautiful nature of the interconnectedness here. So, so yeah. Um, God, kind of lost my train of thought there. Um,
We're talking about you coming back from the jungle.
oh
You
yeah, thank you.
had another experience and kind of
Yes,
detoured
thank you
in
for
life
that.
and career. Yeah, for a little bit.
So that one, thank you, Holly. I appreciate it.
Mhm.
Um, so getting back on track, right? That's the story of my life. Getting back on track, over and
That's
over,
what we're
and
all here for.
all the ways, right? So, um, so it really that was the impetus I think that led me on my next growth spurt, and it was kind of up and down. And then I got involved with different tribes because I through the process I ended up living on an organic regenerative farm in Escondido. Um,
That sounds
I
fun.
also that was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And I got connected with elders from Colombia who was working with San Pedro, and that was super beautiful. Um, at the same time, right before COVID, I gave up my medical license. Um, because of lots of reasons. And though, to give it up right before COVID, I didn't realize what a blessing that would have been. Because as a hospital doctor, I would have been working 70, 80 hours a week. I didn't want to get vaccinated, just that my own personal opinion. Because I'm also a microbiologist, and I was like, okay, something seems weird here. Like I know my science, and they're saying that that's not right. And I've lived my life in a gaslit system. Like I've learned to trust myself, and so when someone's like, "Oh, that's blue," I'm like, "No, it's red," and they're like, "No, it's blue," I'm like, "That's red." And so I luckily was old enough in age and maturity to be able to listen to myself and not be pressured as much.
Mhm.
And I think that's just luckily where I was. And then started an even deeper journey in doing work. So I do also large scale art projects at Burning Man with reflective art. I also do them. I'm doing one for Pride in San Diego this year. I'm going to be presenting one also in Colorado. But like pictures like You Are the One You've Been Waiting For in acrylic mirror so that people can look at it. And I wanted to put those in a bunch of middle schools and elementary schools so kids can look at themselves and know that they are so perfect just the way they are, you know? And then other pieces that are perspective artwork. So when you change the way you look at them, you can see that it's either just painting or it's like I am that I am that I am, or love is love with sacred geometry in it. And the reason I implement sacred geometry, like the piece back here, I found that, they're really beautiful. Like they drew me in because of the symmetry and the artwork. But if you dive in, if you go down the rabbit hole of looking into the symbolism and you realize how rich it is, it will light a part of your soul up that just brings so much joy. And so I've found that consciousness, we leave these little breadcrumbs for ourselves to remember who we are. It's with artwork and different masters and like Da Vinci, uh, Shakespeare, right? Go look at Shakespeare. What is the most profound like sentence of Hamlet? To be or not to be? That is the question. So do we have the courage to be who we are here to be the medicine of our own individual, gosh, our own gift, right? Because Holly, what you're doing as an editor of this is such a gift. And what I'm doing is a gift, and what Kyle's doing is a gift. So what we're all doing when it comes together, when we can all be ourselves, it just supercharges. And so that's the space I'm in now is, creating community and then creating programs and classes and material to empower people. Like my big project right now is called Wise Solutions, Solutions. Y stands for wellness, integration, synergy, experiences by experts for empowerment. I know it's a mouthful. And then solutions, because all the answers are within us, right? Um, And I do that so many ways. I do that with artwork. I do that with guided meditation. I do that with masculine guided meditation. I also work with a couple named Lauren Roche and Camille Maureen. They wrote a book called The Radiant Sutras, which is a beautiful book. Um, and that training has really helped me learn to be more intimate with myself, because I hadn't really thought about that before. Like, how does one be intimate with themselves and not make it sexual, but if they want to make it sexual, but just be intimate with themselves and like just like look at themselves in the mirror. Like, have Holly, when was the last time you looked at yourself in the mirror and said, "I love you. You're fucking amazing.
Probably been
You're
a
a
minute.
badass." Right? Like, let's go do it right now. But no, but just literally, because what I see and feel is, yeah, we're eternal beings in this physical body, right? But this physical body needs love from our eternal selves. So just taking the time to just even going and appreciating ourselves in the mirror is so powerful, so powerful. And then surrounding ourselves with community who, instead of telling us, bringing out or pointing out the worst, oopsie, sorry, pointing out the worst parts of us, but like nurturing and fostering and planting the seeds for the next version of ourselves. And the great thing about, in my humble experience, like we were never born, we'll never die. I mean, it made me think of of the thing of two little babies and a placenta talking. And they're like, "Do you believe in life after birth?" And the other one's like, "What are you talking about?" but um, or like two fishes in a aquarium, and one's like, "Do you think that there's something outside of this tank?" And they're like, "What are you talking about? There's nothing here." The water, and the one's like, "What are you talking about, water?" So just the perspectives, right? And just really being able to help people remember that everything is happening for them. Like, so in my thing, Why Solutions, I do a lot of educational guided meditations. And I do it for some people in stage 3, stage 4 cancer, and people with dementia and Parkinson's, with positive affirmations. But also, I utilize these things called the mirror cells in the body, because when we can activate and use intention and focus to help the body heal with conscious and unconscious programming, I know it's a lot there, but you can supercharge someone's healing ability. And how does one do that? You do that by using hypnosis. You do that by reminding them that everything is unfolding according to plan, and that things are beautiful, and that their world is taking care of them. So if someone hears that a million times, instead of buy Lululemon, get a Mercedes, go to Hawaii, although all those are great too, believe me, trust me, been there, done that. Um, but they don't fill the soul up, you know? But community, like the stuff in life, the stuff in life that's free, love, friendship, that, man, that lights the soul up. And I think that's where we can kind of come together and remind each other, and just be. So, again, lots of talking. Sorry, I went off on lots of tangents. Pass it back to you, Holly.
Something that I was just thinking about. Well, one, I want to know if you miss a hospital environment at all and the type of work you were doing there. But I also wanted to comment on you were saying something about, healing and being in charge of our healing and changing our perspectives. And I read something the other day about how there's some research done about people with dissociative identity disorder or multiple personalities, however you want to frame that, and how the different personalities may experience actual different physical ailments. For example, one personality has severe asthma. They need an inhaler. They can't breathe. Another personality they're a marathon runner, never had a problem breathing in their life. And so on and so forth, right? And I think whatever anybody believes about these diagnoses, I think it shows an insane power of our mind to literally turn on and turn off or shift perspective or find different ways to fire synapses that can change who you physically and chemically are. And I think things like that are so powerful to me because I think it's easy to get lost in thinking I have the power to change my life. That's also a really big fucking responsibility. And that can feel really overwhelming. So I think that finding little habits that you can stack along the way to build your confidence, strengthen your intuition, and learn how to trust yourself and change your own world is so valuable, which I think plant medicine and community and art and all of these things that you're saying are those building blocks in a big way.
Oh, that was a few questions.
It's a
Uh,
lot,
I
this is a lot of things.
was taking notes because I was like, okay, she's jumping from here to here to here to here. So I understand my wandering tangential speak as is contagious, and I appreciate that.
I'm just
But
serving
that's
it back to you. Well, this is our
I,
game.
I, I get it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
right. But see, and that's the great thing about community, right? Like our energy is contagious. Okay, think about it like this. Okay, have you seen that lighter meme where you have two lighters, and one lighter you put in water, and that water's trauma, history, etc. And the other lighter's like you or me, just completely lit up. Okay, you take the lighter, you try to take it out of the water and light it. It won't light because it is just soaked. Okay, it's like fuck you, I am not lighting.
Mhm.
But you put it next to a lit lighter, and it lights right up. And not only does it light right up, it dries itself out so it can light itself up, right? So to go back to the question, do I miss the hospital? No.
That's
Absolutely not. Because you know what? The thing I loved about the hospital was being able to connect with people, one soul to soul. And it took me a while, honestly, to be able to go to a hospital and not have trauma, not have the smell and want to leave the building because I mean, this gray hair is all from the hospital. Okay. That's, um, the second one, what was it? Well, the second question was,
it's just, the power to heal ourselves and the
oh, power
power
to
to
heal.
change our
Okay.
minds and
So that's important to know.
what
So,
potential we have.
right. So remember, this is what I remind myself, right? Because we're remembering to
Hmm.
remembering that thoughts are magnetic. So what I do is I help people weed the garden of their thoughts because we have the conscious mind, which is 5% of like where our computing goes, and then 95% is the unconscious mind, is what we listen to, is what's on TV, what's in the movies, what we've been told. Your name is Holly. This is blue. This is red. All that stuff is 95% of reality, and the 5% we get to choose. So with our conscious mind, the hack here is being able to say, you know what? I'm only going to let thoughts in here that are supportive. Oh, you have a pretty cat behind you.
No.
So over there. Sorry. See,
That's
squirrel
Bruno.
is,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
right. Um, so it's about weeding the thoughts to be supportive and remembering that thoughts become actions, become habits, become who we are. Okay. And remembering this is super powerful. Pro tip. Every single physical issue is a message to point us back to ourselves. So if you have an eye issue, I mean, have you heard of Louise Hay?
Hmm.
She had,
Yeah,
so she has a whole book about this, right? If you
yeah.
can't see or you're having an eye infection, what are you not seeing? If you have something in your ear you can't hear, what are you not listening to? If your
Hmm.
knee is not hurting you, why do you not feel supported? Is your back? So yes, these are physical things, and I'm not saying that they're not. But when you realize how interconnected they are and how they're literally messages from yourself to yourself on how to most gently be happy, it makes it a lot easier, a lot easier. And, with all this stuff, actually, I was doing a class this week and we were talking about toxic positivity. Okay. Because I could see how sometimes I could come across as that maybe. Um, but not. I really hold space for people where they are. In my humble opinion, whatever, wherever I choose to send my energy, it's going to come back to me. So I choose to be in that, not to push it on to anyone. They get to choose what's for them. But this is the vibration I am choosing to be in because I want those thoughts to be magnetized to me. I want that character. I want that life to be magnetized to me. Um, and I've had enough of the physical and other things in life to remind me that life in this space is much more gentle and a lot more fun. And I want to have fun in this life and be happy. Um, and then, yeah, thoughts, habits, signs. Yeah, I think that was answered all the
Yeah,
questions.
that was my rambling sentences all answered.
I appreciate that.
I I mean, I really resonate with a lot of the things you say because I just think that I think the world is a very, very heavy place if you let it be. I think that always kind of is going to hum a little bit somewhere because we're influenced by a lot of people that want to continue to generate that type of energy and do nothing but read the news and feel bad and sad about everything that isn't positive. So, considering I think your positivity is infectious, not toxic. So,
Oh, yay.
I would, I
Thank
would
you.
like, I mean, please share a message with all of our listeners and anybody that's going to access this today about how
Mm.
to find more joy in their lives right now. Like, I would just love to close with Dr. Passion's message for finding more joy and peace in your body and the world around you.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I appreciate that. And actually, that goes with what I'm working on that art project for Burning Man, or not Burning Man, Burning Man for Pride, and it's called The Portal to Becoming. And one thing I would do, there's two big things. Okay, one, write love letters to your younger self, like What would you tell yourself when you were going through that hard time? So that when you do go through another hard time, because the cycle continues, you can read your own letter to yourself, right? And then I'm actually creating a portal, the portal to becoming, where this will be online so other people can come and you can read what other people have told themselves so that it can kind of build on itself. I mean, the other thing I'd say is, Holly, me, you are the one you've been waiting for. You're perfect just the way you are, you know, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise, you know. Um, and I would just say, a lot of people, I actually told someone that last night, and they're like, I'll start tomorrow. And the next thing I told them was, well, is it day one or one day? You know? And so really realizing that this starts when you choose, right? The universe has universal laws, and consent and sovereignty is one of them. We can flail or not flail. We can have as much fun as we want in this realm if we choose. But if you really want to take action, just mindfully choose that. It's as easy as like dropping a phone or anything. It's a choice. And then I would say just really enjoy every breath, enjoy every smell, enjoy the flowers, enjoy the feel of like the blood pulsing through your body. Start if you can, if you feel called to meditate and focus. The reason I like to meditate with instinctive meditation is it focuses on the sensations. It's not about like stopping everything in your mind and just being, it's literally about being in the flow of the divine, because you're divine, Holly. I'm divine. We're so perfect. And when we can attune to that divinity, it flows. And literally the more one does it, it's this thing called subtle energy or subtle signs. You'll start to live a symbolic life where you're just more magnetized to the light and to the grace, and you kind of avoid a lot of the learning lessons. Um, or if you want to go down the learning lesson line, go for it. But so I'd say you are the one you've been waiting for, one day or day one, and know that there are resources like at my website, also like the portal to becoming. A lot of this stuff is it's literally to be of service. It's to remind people there are tools. You're not the first person to do it. You're not the second. Like we're literally, that's the reason we're on this earth with the rest of the collective consciousness, to help each other grow, to hold space. Um, can I read one poem real quick, or you can put it at the end of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah,
This
please.
is,
Yeah.
this is what came to me when I was in Spain and I was going through, we were redoing our nonprofit, but I was, going through the process of like giving up my license and finding my voice, all the fun stuff in life, the minor stuff. Um, and it's called Remember, okay? I am love embodied, born from the light and made of stardust. And then I forgot. Then I remembered and forgot again. Then I remembered and forgot that I forgot. And then I remembered and remembered I forgot. And then again, I remembered and forgot that I forgot again. And then I remembered and remembered that I remembered. Great Spirit, empower me to remember to remember. Please put community in my life to help me to remember to remember. Remember I am light, remember I am love, and remember we are one.
Mhm. Oh, thank you. I love that.
Thank you. So that would be what I'd say.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's a fantastic, perfect message to close on. This has been really fun and very infectious, and I'm excited to go share some of the positivity and joy you just plopped into my world today.
Thank you, Holly. I appreciate you too.